Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about the 5 new to me authors I wanted to try in 2023, and let's see which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like, which ones I will continue reading in the future. Now I did a ranking, so we're starting on number 5, and that one for me was Virginia Woolf with Mrs. Dalloway. I gave this book 4 stars because I quite enjoyed it, so that was the least enjoyable book of the 5, and that is very, very good. In Mrs. Dalloway, we follow a woman, and this book is written in a stream of conscious kind of style, and so it is very flowy. We're just kind of reading the thoughts of the characters, and what makes this a little bit jarring is that we switch heads basically, so we don't always follow just the thoughts of our main character but also the thoughts of some people around her as she's going about her day to plan a party. And I really liked this. I thought it was quite intriguing. It had surprising elements that I did not expect in this book, and I can definitely see myself reading more Virginia Woolf in the future, but it's not an author where I want to run out and read more. Then number 4 is Helen Oyeyemi with White is for Witching. Now I also gave this book 4 stars. It's definitely a very interesting style of writing, and I definitely want to read more, and I actually will next year because I got gifted another one of her books for Christmas. And so in White is for Witching, we're following a family who have always owned a certain house, and the women in this family have a particular connection to this house. And we're following the family right after the mother of the family has died, which led to kind of an increase in symptoms of the illness of the daughter, who has pica, so she wants to eat things that are not food, in particular chalk. And she has a twin brother, and we're just following this family kind of through this change, the death of the mother, and then also the kids going off to college and what that does to the house. Then in number 3, we have Priory of the Orange Tree, which I gave 4.5 stars, and it's obviously by Samantha Shannon. And this is one of those books that I wanted to read for so many years, but it just has been so intimidating. So I'm so glad I got that off my list. And I really enjoyed this book. I think that it's not perfect. It definitely had its flaws. That's why it's 4.5 stars. But I still had a great time with it. In this one, we are following kind of a whole world where we have the East and the West, and they have very different views on dragons. The West sees dragons as these monsters and destroyers and kind of devils, while the East can differentiate between the evil fiery dragons and their water dragons, who they actually see more as deities. And we are following different characters who are navigating this world when it seems like the worst of the worst dragons is going to rise again, and these characters have to come together to stop it. Then on number 2, we have Elantris by Sanderson. So this is again an author that I will definitely read more of in 2024 because I put his Mistborn Era 1 series on my priority TBR for the next year, and I really enjoyed Elantris. It was my first little toe tipped into the Cosmere, and so I was hoping that I would really like it, and I did. I gave it 4.5 stars as well. It was actually quite hard to decide whether Priory or Elantris would be in my number 2 spot, but then I think that Elantris is just plotted a little bit better, but I don't know, you could debate it. But in this book we are following a world where there is this big famous city who was once inhabited by gods, but then something happened and they kind of get this weird condition where they're almost more like zombies and they slowly go mad. So basically the city was sealed off and these Elantrians were not let out again, but people still keep kind of turning into Elantrians. Nobody really knows why, but whenever that happens, the new Elantrians are also put into the city and they're not allowed out again. And we are following a character who is a prince but wakes up one morning and has turned into an Elantrian. And we also have 2 other POVs. I think it was such a fascinating concept and I just really liked the tone and everything. So yeah, that was definitely a win and I can't wait to read more Brandon Sanderson. And then my number 1 book was actually Passing by Nella Larsen, so a classic. This was written in the 1920s during the Harlem Renaissance, and we are following a character who is white passing. We are not actually reading from her perspective, but we are reading from the perspective of a woman who knew her, and this was so good. I read this in a day because it is quite a short book, and I also watched the movie afterwards, and it was just a whole experience. So this one I gave 5 stars and I knew I would have to put it in my number 1 spot. Really enjoyed it, would highly recommend. It was so fascinating and entertaining, and then also I just had no idea where it was going, and the ending is also quite shocking in a way. So yeah, I would highly recommend. I always love stories about white passing because I feel like it really shows that race is a social construct, and it's a very interesting basis to discuss that. So highly recommend Passing by Nella Larsen. I hope you give it a read. It's so short, so quick, and as I said, very engaging. So those would be the 5 authors I have tried new in 2023, the ones that I had planned to read for a very long time but just never actually gotten around to. And I would say this was an absolutely successful year because I can see myself read all of these in the future without hesitation. And I hope I will also do so, because that's something I struggle with as well, reading authors that I love. But at least for some of them I already have firm plans, so that should be fine. Let me know what was a new to you author that you've really enjoyed in 2023, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!